Family, this is the Oneness of the Quilt with Madam A.S. Interglot, High Priestess Lioness. And I'm coming to you today. You're watching WJZZ Cool TV live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And I'm going to give my first shout out to Yusuf James. That's one of my organizations that's paving the way for this type of community, business, and governmental news here on the show. And so again, that's Yusuf James. We do business to business solutions, such as business administration, nonprofit administration, grant administration, and training and development. So with that, we want to continue. I want to also give a shout out to Pumezo Sanwabo. He will not likely be here today. He's on assignment, but he has stuck it out with us for 5 shows, and it's been really interesting with him. He's just been a delight, a plethora of knowledge about our community, and I just want to thank him first and foremost for sticking in here with us. But again, we have some great information for you today. Again, this is Black History Month. We started out with the Trailblazers and people like Carter G. Woodson and talking all about that. And I want to end this Black History Month with a current event and a little blast from the past. So if you don't mind, let's get started. We were talking about voting. And again, this is going to be a little different show because Pumezo Samwabo is not here with us. And so it's going to be a little different. If you're listening, we have later on after we finish up, we'll open up the phones and see if we can get some comments going. But we were talking about is voting an illusion. I'm going to get to that. But I want to talk about something that happened this week. And it was with the Aubrey case. Wanda Cooper Jones and Marcus Aubrey's son, Ahmaud. There was a decision in court this week that came down that said the 3 men were charged with a federal hate crime. And I just want to give a shout out to Wanda Cooper Jones and Marcus Aubrey for going the distance and ensuring that at the state level in Georgia, there was an outcome, and at the federal level, where she really had a tough fight on her hand. Looks like there was some twists and turns with the Department of Justice, and it just kind of reminded me of what we had talked about and in this Black History Month. And Wanda Cooper Jones and Marcus Aubrey really, as a family, stood in there, and especially Wanda Cooper Jones, as I understand, stood in there like a mother and said, no. And I was so proud of her when they asked her to speak and give thank yous, that she talked in a very concise, eloquent way about her struggle. I believe it was with the Department of Justice and how it just wasn't right. And when I began to dig and look into this case, here was a young man, 25 years old, jogging, minding his own business, trying to have a moment of solace and health. And he get 2 vehicles chasing him with 3 men total in it. And what they do next is, and it was said by news carriers that if there wasn't the footage, that this outcome that the Wanda Cooper Jones and Marcus Aubrey won might have not been won. And so we are in the age of digital technology, and what is bringing things to light where you can't say, I don't know, or maybe not, or, this ability to say that a certain group of people are not trustworthy with their accounts of things. And so I loved how Wanda Cooper Jones, gave a call for action for standing up. And but in that, we've had so many. It brought me to, because it was so similar to Trayvon Martin, and how he, was walking, coming from the store, and got attacked. And his murderer got off. So I just want to give a shout out to so many people. And it's just so relatable to me, because I believe it was in my second show when Pim Pumezo Senwabo asked me to talk about my grandmother, and I gave that story of me and my grandmother and the police. So this is something that's been going on, and I can identify with you because it happened to me. It's just that I had a grandmother that was Johnny on the spot, and like I said, she carried a big stick. She was a soft-spoken woman. But what could have happened to me if she hadn't been there and been who she was, facing the police and other what I call vigilante people. So here we are in Black History Month, and I just wanted to say that I can't remember, because it's just been so many tragic deaths at the hands of people who are either feeling like they are the judge, or they're stressed out or scared. And what are we going to do about it? I know there's Black Lives Matter. I think all lives matter. Red lives matter. There's just so much going on in our community and in our quilt, that oneness of that quilt. So where do we begin? And I think the greatest place to begin is with civic engagement. However you feel you can engage with it. It is power in it. It is the ability to change things in it. But we first must have to understand the system. And I think if we understand the system of civic engagement beyond voting, but that's where the bulk of our people, they understand voting. But there's some other components that go along with that, and they're critical, because so often communication, there's not an understanding. And for me as an urban planner, I understand that some of my fellow colleagues in the built environment, how can they come help my community when they're busy saving their drowning community? Because they have they may not talk about it, but they have things going on that they're trying to keep afloat. And there's only 24 hours in a day. So I'm just going to take a break here to do some business, because I want you to know you're watching the Oneness of the Quilt, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Okay, now that we've taken that and we've kind of talked about some of the things in our quilt, I think also a current event that hopefully, if you've watched the news, you've seen Russia begin the invasion of Ukraine. I know some people who have family and friends over there and property, and it is just a hot mess. This impacts us. So, what does all this international and national, regional, and local, sometimes people, they just put their hands up and say, what can I do about it? There's a lot you can do about it. And the first thing is understanding the system. So we had started with, is voting an illusion? Because I met a young man this week, and I was getting a petition signed for tax credits to give back to families for school supplies. And he told me, he said, I really wish I could sign that, but I'm not a registered voter. I don't vote. And so he kind of saw the impact of this. Is a tax act to give $500 back to families per student, and $1,000 for disabled students. And for a family maybe that has 4 or 5 children, that's a lot of money that can be put towards to enhance their educational outcomes. Because when we build skills, then we have the opportunity to organize those skills and derive outcomes out of them. And I think sometimes that message, that knowledge is kind of lost on our community. I do know that a lot in what I'm going to call it, the red nation, but it is so intertwined, at least on east of the Mississippi, with the black community, because these communities intermarried, that there was a lot of trickery that went on in school. There's a lot of issues we need to take care of in school, and voting and being a part of civic engagement, we can do that. We have the ability. And I just want to give a shout out in Black History Month. A lot of people may not know these things, but I used to live in New York, and I didn't always wear a cover, and I have this coarse, wiry hair, and it kind of can change from, I can go Brillo or I can go straight and wavy. But a lot of people thought I was Puerto Rican back in the day because I wore red shoes. You see, I have this red scarf on. And back in the day, a lot of black people didn't wear red. So I got kind of tagged with Puerto Ricans because they recognized some of the features. And just like my people, we come in all shades, and so do Puerto Ricans. So but I wanted to give a shout out to the Tainos. They are indigenous black people, tribe of Puerto Rico. The Tupihana in Brazil. They're the Portuguese, as I know, call them the Negros de Terre. That means the Negroes of this land, distinguishing a distinction from the Negroes from Angola and from the motherland. And so I want to give a shout out to the Pequot and Northeast region of this country, who were also black indigenous tribe, and a lot of them, and from South Carolina, there was not a transatlantic trade, but as we know the story of Jamaica, a lot of intolerables were sent to Jamaica, and there were a lot of black indigenous tribes that were sent to Jamaica, and probably one of the reasons why when they had the opportunity, because they knew their lineage to the land, you have many Jamaicans that come back to the United States. So I just wanted to give a shout out about this melting pot and this ability in the African diaspora, in the indigenous diaspora that happened to our community in this Black History Month. And that's important to me, and probably why this show is entitled The Oneness of the Quilt, because there's a social fabric of the United States, and we want to honor everyone, and we want to honor everyone's path and struggle. And that's important to me, to honor all my ancestors, whether they came from the mother continent or the indigenous tribes of this country, and what that stood for. So I want to just thank you, all my viewers, for listening in. I'm just honored. I'm getting very good positive feedback and people cheering me on, saying, keep going, keep going. The owner-producer has let me know that I'm getting some good ratings, and I just hope that I'm inspiring a culture of community that understands we have voice and we are some of the most creative thinkers on the planet, and that we can do this. We can bring about the quality of life that we want for our community. And so I want to do my part, and I'm going to get in here. And where we left off, we didn't get far. I have a lot of information about the system, because that's where we are. We already talked about voting is an illusion, and there's a lot of people who really believe that it doesn't. So they're paralyzed almost in that. But being part of the system and civic engagement is very promising when we understand it. And so I'm going to start at the basis. And I know a lot of brothers who get into trouble and go to court, and sisters, they may understand this, because they are oftentimes warned when they use the word democracy with United States. See, the United States is not a democracy. And saying that it's a democracy in court can be a big thing. It can be a lot of problems. So, what is the United States? A lot of people also understand it works under a corporate seal. But what is it? What system are we dealing with? And the United States is categorized as a republic. So it's very important to understand. A democracy is a system within the republic. And so a lot of us have in our community are they see themselves with democracy and being democratic. Again, I'm just going to put it out here. I'm a transparent person. I'm a preservationist. You know, I believe as a community we need to have a group on the Republican side and a group on the Democratic side, so that whichever way the vote swings, we will have positive outcomes for our community. And that just stems from, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Because while a lot of people are so fond of the Democrats, if we look at the history, many milestones and gains have been given to our community, or provided for our community, or considered for our community? Who's considering us that holds those abilities, because we always didn't hold those abilities, and wanted to correct the interpretation of many. So these anchors were put in, like amendments and different things, as what I think, because I think I could argue just on the Constitution alone, and I don't need an amendment to prove it. It doesn't matter to me what someone else thinks. I come from a man, and so I stand with Abraham Lincoln. I can have that argument by myself with the Constitution. I don't need a amendment. But what the amendment to me does, it proves that there was this categorization that people in our community, whether black, indigenous, or black from the mother continent, were not considered to be human. And so that's the argument where I am at, and what I think should first happen. That this did occur. The very being of the 13th Amendment proves that this was something that went against the Constitution of this land, and it negates liability, it negates wrongfulness, and those things. So it's a republic, the United States. I love standards, because we all can think, well, those Republicans and those Ku Klux Klan. And when you do your research, you find out the Ku Klux Klan is a strong arm. What in the Reconstruction area, it was the strong arm of the Democratic Party. I'm not saying what the Democratic Party is now, but historically, the Democratic Party, they were the slave owners. So I find it very ironic that a lot of people feel so aligned with the Democrats. But a republic, not a Republican, a republic, is a state which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. I'm going to repeat that again, because I hope you can catch this, family. A state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. You know, the definition of a republic is just mind-blowing. We the people. I remember being 18 or 19, and I had an immigration issue that I was dealing with, and I tell you, I was keen to understand civics. And I tell you, I went to this government office, and this lady started speaking to me in a way. And you know, there are certain people in our community, you just can't speak to them any kind of way. And you know, I happen to be one of them. And I told her, "Who are you talking to?" And she said, "I'm going to call the police on you." I said, "Call them. I want you to call them." And I stood my ground. She never called them. I told them, I'm the citizen here. So see, I do see what a lot of the Moorish science brothers and sisters are talking about. When you know the law, when you understand the system, you change how people treat you. It becomes behavioral. When you don't understand something, you are apt to fear it. And people notoriously can understand and sense fear. And then that part of them, that ego rises up where they want to dominate you and oppress you. And so many people, why I'm on this journey I am, when I moved back from New York and I accomplished several things. And a lot of people, I grew up on the North End, they said, "How did you do it?" And I said, do what? But I had to sit down and process what they were asking me about. And one of the ways is that, yeah, I paid attention. I understood my rights. And my family taught me how to stay within that line, not being aggressive and not being passive, being assertive. And it's a talent. And I would love for people who want to understand communications a little better and civic engagement, to get in contact with me. And I have 2 nonprofits, and we're rocking and rolling, ready to serve the community and help them to reach their next levels. And so the next question, if we understand that we're a republic and what that means, we the people. Now, we the people, I had someone say to me, yeah, we the people. I said, we who? Because that's my next question in understanding this system. Yes, where the power is held by the people. And so when they came at me with, yeah, we the people, Michelle, that's my given name. We the people, Madam A.S. and the Glock High Priestess Lioness. My question to them was, we who? Understand who your we is. Because I might be sitting with somebody who's not a part of my we. They are part of wanting to keep me in this non-knowledgeable arena so that they can continue on with their agenda. So, yeah, but I'm going to take a station base because business is business. That's Yusuf James' tagline. Business is business. Got to take care of that business because that's how it's all coming for us, is through business. You're watching the Oneness of the Quilt, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And so I gave my shout out also to Yusuf James. Remember, we're business to business solutions. So if you have a area of a business that you need to get some help with, look us up. You can email me at michelle@yosefjames.com. That's YOC as in Charlie, EF as in Frank, James, JAMES as in Sam.com. And that's Michelle with 2 L's. So that's when I'm dealing with business, yeah. Just to let you all know, if you didn't know, my proper name is Michelle Abdelaziz. But on the show here, I am Madam A.S. Inagla, High Priestess Lioness. And I'll explain to you the A. The A is Abdelaziz. I taught in school. They call me Madam A or Mrs. A. So I couldn't leave that out. That's my babies. Here's a shout out to all my babies over Southeast Michigan that I taught. And I remember you, so many of them. And they're rooting for me. And even out in Westland, they said, Mrs. A, Madam A, you keep telling us we got these mad skills and we great thinkers. But how we going to get across to the other side, Madam A? I told them I'm creating a bridge right now for that. It took a little time, but I remember all the way out from Willow Run, as north as Pontiac, and as south as Flat Rock. Grosse Ile, who else? Romulus, Redford, all over Southeast Michigan, where I taught and had a great relationship with my students. But I went there to learn about political subdivisions, getting back to the civic engagement. School districts are political subdivisions, just to put that in there for you. very important what a school district can do for a community. And as you know, Detroit is just in a situation, the school districts just been torn apart. And so I'm originally from the North End and Paradise Valley area. But the North End was just strong. And for me, the North End includes the old boundaries of the Northern High School School District. So proper from east to west is part of the North End was Hamtramck Township. But right now, as you know, the eastern border is Hamtramck. The western border of Northern School District was 12th. The western border, the northern border was just south of Highland Park, and the southern border was 94. But a lot of people, the North End has such a rich heritage. It's neither east or west, and a lot of people, they're vying. So you have just a split. You have all types of new areas and identification. But for me, I'm old school, and I remember Northern High School's school district as the North End. So that was neither east or west. That's why it's called North End. And there was a time in Detroit's history that was the most northern point of Detroit. But in all this, you start to understand how the civic engagement works. And it's not as complex as we think. We know a lot more than we think we do. And why is that boundary important? Because boundaries help us have distinctions. Again, I think I said that on one of my previous shows, how Harper Avenue, we have between Connor and, let's say, Cadieux, Harper Avenue. It goes one side of Edsel Ford to the other. It's very different from the Avenue of Fashion. Now, we got two boundaries. There are people who keep the Avenue of Fashion just south of 7 Mile to 8 Mile, but there's people who say the Avenue of Fashion goes from the Lodge Fremont Way to 8 Mile. And so it all depends on who your we is on these distinctions. And a lot of people have a problem. If you go to the Avenue of Fashion, which is Livernois, you'll see distinctions. It's 3 distinct type of light poles on Livernois between the Lodge and 8 Mile. You have that old charm look. You have just the wooden stacks with the light, and then you have the metal stack with the light down by U of D. And so you have these how the city sees it and how the distinctions and we see it. And this is what I'm, as a urban planner, noticing about. And we go back to this republic. I want you to remember, power is held by the people. It doesn't say or. It says and there. So there's a tie. It doesn't say and the elected officials. It says and their elected officials. So what are these elected officials doing if they're not following the we who attach that there in there? And see, this is why I really believe in documentation. I know we are an oral community for the most part, but you gotta get it in writing. You gotta have a contract. You gotta have a plan, because so often there's a lot of we's out here, and those elected officials are gonna pay attention to which one. It all becomes a choice, and when your we has a plan and distinct a collective plan, there is power in that, because that represents the people according to whatever boundary, because we have a local boundary, but in those local boundaries we have distinctions. I mean, I'm sure people on Harper Avenue are not going to allow those people in the Bagley community and what else is over there? Sherwood Forest University District, and there's a green. I'm sorry, I really, wow, why don't I remember that? It's a green. It's green. Green Acres. That's what it is. And so, and Palmer Park. So you kind of have all that, and Fitzgerald working. I hope and Martin, is it Martindale? That's over by between Puritan and McNichols, over by Linwood. So you have all that going in that community, and I'm sure those people are not going to let the people in Chandler Park and all that. That's East English Village, Morningside, all Ravendale. That's over there off of Harper. Come over and tell them what to do. So we have to understand, we're not trying to separate our community, but we have to begin to understand that we have different we's. The need of the avenue of fashion, whichever way you see it, and the need of Harper between Connor and Kadja, they are very different. Okay? Very different. And so that's why this, I said, how can I put this, the oneness of the quilt, that quilt, those squares, these distinctions. So understanding who your we is, and typically your we is where you live in your community. You have a we there. You have a we with your family that may be scattered all over the world. You have different we's, but understanding your we's in your life is very important, and how you connect with these elected officials. Now, some people may want to go and, again, because of the oral tradition, stand in their face all day and basically beg and plead, that I see. And that's fine if it works for you, if it gets, and that's the way you process things. I just believe in business, and I like to be business about it, because I find that the spoken word can be interpreted. If anybody's ever played the gossip game at a baby shower, and what could happen from the beginning of the gossip to the end, and how the story just changed. And so, but when we have things down concretely and in writing, we can go back to it and say, okay, now this is what was said, or this is the term. And dealing with the government is still business. Dealing with your community is business. And for me and my family, dealing with family is business. Even a marriage, it's called a marriage contract. And there's certain things that, can be negotiated in that contract. So for me, it's just, that's the way I process, and I think it's healthy. And it saves a lot of time. So I just want to bring it up. And so I'm talking about the we's. First, let's get that understanding before we start going to paper. Because that's when me and Pumezo Samwabo had talked before the show last week. How do we as a collective navigate the republic system of the United States as a minority group? And again, I bring up a lot of Khazar Jews, Eastern European Jews, who came to this country. And, we always get this story about the downtrodden blacks, whether they're indigenous or from the motherland. That really tears me apart. And we allow this. I know I been speaking up about this, and I even told the homosexual community, Why don't you compare yourself to somebody else, a Jew, a Chinaman, an Irishman? I mean, so many people who also have been downtrodden. Why must you always compare yourself with blacks who traditionally do not hold the culture of homosexual? I know there are a lot of blacks who are homosexual, but it's not a traditional part of our community. And my answer to those people told me, well, the Jews are the homosexuals. I said, well, compare yourself. A lot of people don't know that. Just compare yourself to that. And I bring them up to say they were put out into the swampland in Oakland County that nobody really wanted, but they worked with what they were given. And now you have some of the most sought after communities to be a part of. Bloomfield, West Bloomfield, Southfield, Bingham Farms, Franklin, And so this is something when you love yourself and other people can see that you love yourself, you love your surroundings, you love your environment, they then will respect you and want to. But when we have in our community that I don't know. But we keep our shoes clean and we keep those wonderful kicks together. Why can we not keep our community like that? Or have we been conditioned that we have to keep this persona and this perception to keep the boogeyman away, the white man, as people say, because I go into some homes on the outside, I just don't know. But when you go in, it's really put together. You know what I'm talking about. Auntie Faye's house may look broke down on the outside, but in the inside. And so is this something that we've been conditioned to? And when are we going to rise up to be a group who are not seen as beggars or pleaders or people that can't help themselves? These are all the things when I travel, people came to me and said, I really don't know who you're talking about. But as people, and make a demonstration, because that a demonstration, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so that demonstration is important. And again, it's business time, and I gotta take care of business. Okay, you're watching the Oneness of the Quilt live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And I just got to give a shout out to my organization, my first baby that helped me to get my nonprofits up and launched. And now it's time. Joseph James, YOC as in Charlie, EF as in Frank, James, JAM as in Mary, ES. Incorporated. We are a business-to-business solution organization, and we deal with grant administration, business administration, nonprofit administration, training and development. And we're ready to roll and help others as we help ourselves. So my motto for my nonprofit, Soma Bashara, is read business is what it is in Swahili, is as you climb, lift. And I say that to say, because if you lift as you climb, I just think that order is incorrect. And so I'm really about order. And when we understand order, when we understand what we're working with, when we understand what we have, it's the old saying, you're given a lemonade. What can you do with it? Well, I can make lemonade. I can make lemon chiffon pie. I can make a lot of things with that lemon. And so, that's kind of where we are. Just as positive as I can see. We've been given lemons. But it's time for us to do something with those lemons. turn it in. Just turn. We can do that. We are such innovative, creative people. I remember years ago I was talking about real-time information. Now everybody on the news and all this, it's real time. Saying so many things. Other people have said things. I mean, Detroit versus everybody. I mean, we have so much creativity that from our communities, whether you're in town or country, we have so much. And if we just can pause and hold the silence on our creativity. I know you're proud of yourself, but hold the silence until you're ready to implement, until you're ready to take it to bring it out and make benefit for yourself, your family, and then your community. So as a republic, I really think it's incumbent upon people, not this, I got mine, you get yours, but to understand community, understand the system that you're working with, understand the we at different levels that you're dealing with. When you understand that, then you can work with the self. You can position yourself in all of that, because you have a we at the hood level, you have a we at the local level, you have a we at the regional level, you have a we at the national level, and you have a we at the international level. How far you want to go is up to you. But when you understand all that we, and how you connect in it, and how you can derive benefit out of it for yourself, and then your family, and then back to your community. But I really employ people, understand community first. Understand that this needs to be a big part of our youth understanding. They need to understand before they go out and be pushed out into the world. Because so often when they get 18, and you grown and you acting grown and you're going to get out of my house, and then they out there with the wolf. They really don't understand. And so understanding that we is important when it comes to the people, and understanding the Constitution and we the people. Make sure you ask that question, we who. Understand your team. That's also something we do at Yusuf James. Is people have to understand what they're up against, and working with a team is so important. I know we as lions and lioness, we want to be individualistic, but we're up against a global world that is operating out of teams. And what a team can do versus just one individual. You got to understand the scope and what's occurring. So, but choices, yes, that's what I used to say in school. I used to teach all my baby students. And I remember one student when I first started, because I was a substitute teacher. I got one day to impact you. And that was my thing. Choice is yours. And I used to let them know, you have choice. And they used to look at me, what? I got choice. Yes, you do. You have choice. And so, but this democratic thing has its merits, because what is a democracy? Because I have a question to bring to you. How do we achieve democratic ideals? And so that leads us to the question, what is a democracy? A democracy is a system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. So, and you should have heard something that really, we're trying to make this, instead of a republic, not a republican, a republic, rather than a democracy. If you go to a democracy, Did you hear anything about authority or power of the people? You just heard elective representative. And so where are these Democrats taking us? And that's a question I learned when I was working in sales. Know who's driving your bus. That's not one of my mottos or slogans, but know who's driving your bus. Because somebody can drive you somewhere and tell some people something, and you could fall into a lot of problems. It's an old African tale. This man was taking these people to an insane asylum, and he went out and went to the store, and all the people got off of the bus. And he said, what am I going to do? Because I was supposed to take all these people to the insane asylum. And he went and he asked people, do you need a bus ride? I'll come get on the bus. I'll take you. So he got all these people to get on the bus, and basically he told me, he said, I got to make one stop. He stopped at the insane asylum, and he told those people, he went to inside the insane asylum and told those people, most of those people, they don't want to get off the bus. So what did the insane asylum do? They went out there and put straitjackets on them. And it took a long time for these people to help these people realize that they were not insane. They were not a part of the group that was supposed to be in the insane asylum. So I want to end with that today, family. Really before you get into civic engagement, understand the system. There's nothing wrong with taking the time out to gain knowledge. And I just want to say, you can't always sneak around and watch people to understand. You really need to get this knowledge. And one of my nonprofits that's what we're committed to, we're a social science organization, Talbia Inc. That's TALB as in boy, IYAH, IN as in Nancy C.org. We do civic engagement, and I really think it's valuable for each and every one of our citizens, young and old, to understand the system. When you understand something, you know better, you can do better. And with that, family, peace, much love. I'll see you next time. This is Madam A.S. Interglac, High Priestess Lioness, the Oneness of the Quilt, and you're watching WJZZ live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Well, it looks like I got a couple of more minutes, and let's see if we could get a caller in this last, I think we got about 3 minutes. The number is 313-355-6018. What's on your mind? If you have a question or comment that we could answer in these last 3 minutes, would love to hear from you. Again, I just want to thank the viewers and everyone for your support, your love, your encouragement. I haven't had a lot of that in my life. See, my story while I'm waiting on this caller is me and my grandmother. My grandmother told us we walked into and fell into a bucket of crabs. We was already between a hard place and a rock. And so that's part of the way I tell my story, And, I had parents that wanted to make sure I understood what was going on, and so I had to do things myself. And so I had to, make sure I put my own bootstrap on my boot so I could pull myself up. So I understand the plight of so many, but I'm not mad at my parents. I wouldn't be who I am today without my mom. I said I was going to write a book. My mom, my mama, my mom, my nanny, and my mom, my sparring partner. When I got 16, my mom it was like we were boxing. She became my sparring partner. She got me ready. And so I appreciate my family. I appreciate my friends. I appreciate my associates, my colleagues, even my acquaintances. I learned from them. Yeah, village has taught me over many, many years. So I'm not going to sit here and say that everything was just came to me or I knew it. No, I learned some lessons from the village. And I just encourage you to reach out again to Talbia Inc. Uh, about that civic engagement, where to start. I think that's a perfect place. I think I got about 1 more minute. So that's a little bit about me. Would love to hear from you. Um, I We're gonna begin reaching out and having different conversations, and I'll give a shout out every now and then about civic engagement, literacy, and social emotional intelligence. Those are my three biggies. But again, peace, family, much love. And I just hope you have your next. This is day 7. I hope your tomorrow and next week, day 1, all the way through the next day 7, is full of blessings. And you learn whether negative or positive is coming at you. You learn from it and move to your next level. Okay, again, much love. Peace, family.